Hello, I'm Perianne Boring, the founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce, and it's my honor to welcome you to the Latin American Blockchain Forum. First, I'd like to thank our member, Bankcoin.global, for hosting this event and for their incredible thought leadership and encouraging this dialogue for Latin America around blockchain. So, blockchain technology represents a once-in-a-generation opportunity for investors, entrepreneurs, and governments around the world. Now, I first learned about blockchain in 2011 when I worked in the U.S. House of Representatives. I was briefed on Bitcoin as a financial technology, which is the issues that I covered. And from the moment that I learned that there was this digital currency out there that operated outside the control of any type of government or corporation or organization, to me, that was just a fascinating concept. And it led to a deep personal study to learn everything I could about Bitcoin and blockchain. And the more I learned, the more fascinated I became, which eventually led to me leaving many other opportunities at the sidelines and jumping into this space full time and developing the Chamber of Digital Commerce. So we founded this organization in July of 2014, which was a very different time in the blockchain and Bitcoin space than where we are today. So 2013 was really an important year for the industry. That was the year that the price of Bitcoin went up over 3,000%. It was all over the news. It was in international headlines. But then there were also some not great kind of stories that were hitting the media cycles. And really the biggest one of those was Silk Road. And so when we first launched this organization, this was actually before anyone used the term blockchain. Back then we just called it Bitcoin. And the only thing people in the policy community knew about Bitcoin is that people had bought illegal drugs with it online on Silk Road. So the dialogue was that of fear and anxiety and skepticism, and it was quite challenging, which really opened up that there was a need to have a dedicated organization that worked with governments and policymakers around the world to help guide them in this new and exciting technology frontier. And I will say that it's not just me saying that this is an exciting and important technology to pay attention to. It has captured the imagination and the attention of some of the most important people throughout governments around the world. So I'm going to talk about three people who have said some very important statements recently. The first one is Christine Lagarde. So Christine Lagarde, the head of the International Monetary Fund, she recently argued at an event at the Bank of England that virtual currencies could one day be easier, safer, and more stable than paper money. The second thought leader would be Janet Yellen, the chairwoman of the Federal Reserve. She has now multiple times at public events said that blockchain is, quote, an important technology. And we at the Chamber actually had the opportunity to meet her in person at the Fed here in DC, where she was hosting a group of central banks from around the world. There are about 90 heads of central banks there, and she gave a talk to all of them, and she told them that you should be doing everything you can to learn about this technology because it will have massive implications for the financial sector. And then the third champion to bring your attention to in the government space around blockchain is the chair of the U.S. Commodity Futures Trading Commissioner, Chris Giancarlo, who recently said at an event of government employees that blockchain is in America's national interest. So he mentioned that the economy is continuing to be digitized and that regulators must also keep pace with innovation in the digital economy. So there's a lot of activity in the policy circles, not just around people getting excited about it. There's also a lot of in-depth policy discussions underway. So two to bring to your attention would be around securities issues and tax. So in the securities space, we're seeing a ton of activity with what's called ICOs, or initial coin offerings, or token offerings. So there's been about 100 ICOs that have raised over $2 billion of funding. Now, ICOs are basically crowdfunding. I call it crowdfunding on steroids, or crowdfunding utilizing blockchain technology, which has proved to be incredibly successful. There's many projects who have raised tens of millions and hundreds of millions of dollars in days and even seconds. So this is obviously capturing the attention of regulators. And there's some good activity and there's some kind of confusing and not so great activity underway in the token space. So at the Chamber, we've launched an initiative called the Token Alliance. And this is a group of about 160 token experts who have come together to create some guidelines, best practices, and standards around tokens. And we're doing this for 3 different classes of people. The first is regulators. So obviously there's been a lot of public statements, a lot of concern, a lot of interest from the regulatory community about tokens. Are they securities? Are they not securities? Where do they fit into securities laws and frameworks? So we're working on some guidelines for the policy community and regulators. The second is for technologists. So if you want to launch an ICO, or you want to issue a token, what's an ethical way to do that? So you're dealing with consumers, you're dealing with investors. There's not a lot of guidance out there, but there should be some standards and a baseline understanding of what a reputable token would look like and how that would be structured. And then the third group that we're promoting and curating content for is for the consumer. So if you want to participate in an ICO, or if you want to invest in a token, what do you need to know? What types of disclosures should you expect to see from the technologist? How do you hold tokens? So this is a new asset class. What are the best practices around that? So tokens and ICOs are an exciting new piece of the ecosystem, and we want to invite you all, if you're interested, to also participate in the Token Alliance. And then the second topic is around tax. So there are some complications in terms of taxing this new asset class. And in the United States, it's taxed as property. So that means that every time you use Bitcoin or virtual currency in a retail transaction, it is subject to capital gains or losses, and you have to report those, which is very complicated and has really led to slowing the adoption of virtual currency in retail transactions. So we are putting together some comprehensive policy analysis and proposals in terms of better ways to tax this new asset class. And what's really new about Bitcoin and tokens is that they can take on multiple types of properties. So blockchain technology can be used as a currency. It can also be used as property and a commodity and a security. So it has this chameleon-like effect depending on how you're using it, which is new and very different. And we believe that it deserves its own tax treatment as well. So while there's a ton of activity underway in the United States, there's also a couple other nations that you certainly should be aware of that are at the forefront of these discussions. So one is the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. So we just returned from a certified trade mission to the UAE. This was a blockchain certified trade mission. It was the first one ever sponsored by any government anywhere in the world. And we went to the UAE because in Dubai, there is a massive project underway. It's called the Dubai Blockchain Strategy. And that is a vision to completely blockchain enable the entire Dubai government by the year 2020. So we took a group of about 20 companies over to participate and be a part of those very exciting discussions. And then the other nation to bring to your attention is Singapore, which is actually where I am today. So I apologize that I'm not available to be with you in Mexico and really regret that I can't be there. But I'm here with the Monetary Authority of Singapore, who is on a mission to blockchain enable their central bank digital currency. So there's so many exciting and interesting discussions and conversations and opportunities and pilots and projects underway that we, of course, encourage you to participate in. So we hope that you take full advantage of the discussions underway this week at the Latin American Blockchain Forum, and we invite you all to participate ongoing in our platform at the Chamber of Digital Commerce.